Breakdown. It feels amazing to be up here with these three again. This is my family. I channel all the emotions I've been feeling into my instrument. This is my therapy. My pick plucks the strings, producing licks that vibrate through my body. This is how I heal. I'm finally right where I belong. Nicholas climbs onto the stage and stands beside me. He's shouting into my ear, but I can't hear him over the clamor. Besides, I'm too busy turning things up for all my adoring fans. I don't really have the luxury of holding a conversation right now. As my bandmates and I play, I'm amazed we all look the way I'd always envisioned we would. No more Halloween costumes. We're in a wardrobe straight out of a big-budget Hollywood spectacle. Gone are the cheap instruments. We're not only using the best equipment available, we're using stuff that hasn't even been invented yet. Monumental set pieces populate the stage as it shifts from local to international. The whole venue changes. It's Good Night Cleveland and Hello Hollywood Bowl. We've filled every seat with screaming fanatics who know every word of our songs. From the corner of my eye, I see my face on the Jumbotron. I feel a kick of adrenaline. This venue can boast Frank Sinatra, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Doors, and almost every other important act of the last 100 years. Monty Python played this stage, and I personally watched my hero, Weird Al Yankovic, rock out on this very spot. Real or not, this feels amazing. That face up there is my age, 37, with a lifetime of backstory in the business, of platinum albums and radio hits, of magazine covers and talk show appearances. The band's all here, and we're living the dream. We finished the song, fireworks shooting off overhead, and the crowd is on their feet. Nicholas stands beside me, screaming into my ear.
Do you have a death wish? Have you lost your fucking mind?
I turn to him, too exultant to be annoyed. I start to speak. Thank you. That was off our first album. The voice is mine, but it isn't. This one is more confident and weathered. It's someone that's seen the world and learned from each experience. When I turn back toward the microphone, I see What If Thrash Axemen look at me as though I'm trespassing. We were nothing when we recorded that tune. Just a bunch of punk kids who thought they had talent. He squares off against me, spinning his guitar in a flourish and holding it aloft like a weapon.
But I am Thrash Axeman, and I am the god of rock!
The other band members, RB Slapbass, Skins McSticks, and Melody Keys, fall in behind. The crowd begins to chant, "Kill the infidel! Kill the infidel!" I feel Nicholas's hand tugging at the back of my jacket.
We should go, he says.
The situation strikes me as garish and ridiculous. I can't help but laugh. Thrash Axeman doesn't care for my reaction. He charges, shouting,
"Worship me!"
That just makes things worse. I'm in on the joke. I created it. This character's all satire. He's a larger-than-life parody, and I can't take his shit seriously. Nicholas, on the other hand, can. He gives my jacket a harder tug.
What are you doing?
Thrash Axeman's guitar cuts through the air, slamming against the side of my head. Bits of wood splash past my face, intermingling with stars exploding from the blow. I stutter, forgetting what I want to say as my jumbled thoughts tumble out. My lower quarters must be attached to my mouth because I trip over my words and my feet at the same time, wheeling around and doing windmills to keep myself from belly flopping. By some miracle, all my teeth are still in place when I crawl past the bevy of teeny boppers waiting in the wings. Despite how hard I'm concentrating, I can't figure out a way to change the scenery. I can't get us back on the timeline. I get up and start to run, but movement in one of the dressing rooms causes me to stop in my tracks. Before I can get confirmation of what I think I saw, my body has already begun to go into shock. The hair on the back of my neck crackles with static, standing like quills. Clutching my aching skull, I crane my neck to get a better vantage through the doorway. A feet stands on a chair in the center of the room, and as the chair slips from under her feet, she drops. Caught by the neck with a nylon cord that digs into her flesh, her life is choked from her body, her legs kicking and twitching, her fingernails claw at her neck. She fights her final battle with all her instinct. She fights a battle she's already made the choice to lose. I'm shattered, just as I was when I first heard the news. All thought has left me. My vision blurs around the edges. I want to hit something. I'd only heard about her suicide, and for years my imagination has tormented me with my mind's own interpretation of the events. This glimpse into that fatal moment is real. I'm convinced. What I just witnessed were the final, desperate moments of one of the sweetest people I've ever had the privilege of knowing. I'm lost. With the image repeating in constant replay in my mind, I have no hope of reorienting myself. As much as I try, I can't figure out why Nicholas is waving me down the hall. I'm reeling. I slow down and move toward a couch in the green room. A small man in a fancy suit stands with his back to me. He makes happy slurping noises as he samples from the gourmet spread laid out on one of the tables in front of him. He sips Chardonnay from a crystal flute and licks caviar off his fingers, his tongue following where it drips down his wrist. I see Too Loud run past in the hall. My situational awareness returns, and I realize I've stumbled upon an accidental hiding spot. I press myself against the wall. Since there's no telling how long it will serve me, I begin developing a plan to further elude my pursuers. I've never been backstage before at the Hollywood Bowl. The best I can do is sneak around and try not to get caught while I concentrate like hell to get back on my timeline and get the key before the door closes. "Hey!" The diminutive man screams at me through a mouthful of shrimp. "Don't tell me you had another meltdown! How many times do you have to go to rehab before you start taking things seriously? This is the gig of your life! Get back on that stage!" Nicholas enters the room.
"Paul, this whole situation is pure id. Be cautious."
Giving Nicholas a confident nod, I reply to the little angry man, doing my best impression of What If Thrash Axeman. "I'm looking for my lucky rabbit's foot." "What?" His face contorts. He practically chokes. "You don't have a lucky rabbit's foot?"
"Yes, I do, and I never perform without it."
His eyes bulge. "Why is this the first I'm hearing of this?" I shake my head.
"I'm pretty sure I left it on the bus."
I look around the room as though searching for the vehicle.
"I'm kind of turned around. Which way do I go to get out of this maze?"
The little manager turns away from me and loads his plate with truffles. Without looking back, he says, "Take the tunnel, it's to the right. And make it quick. The audience is paying through the nose to see you gyrate in your tight pants." Nicholas checks to see if the coast is clear and gives me a thumbs up.
"Lucky rabbit's foot."
I shrug. We follow the short man's directions. "Why can't I get us out of here?" I ask.
"We're in your full-blown imagination, Paul. The normal rules don't apply."
"Are we stuck here?" Nicholas shakes his head.
"Just keep thinking about the actual events of your life and not your fantasies, and then pray to God you haven't concocted some sort of suicide scenario for yourself."
His words run a chill up my spine. I hadn't considered it, but maybe I have been cooking up a way for me to go out on my own terms. We find the tunnel, and there's a literal light at the end of it. We rush forward, and I concentrate hard, but I can't visualize anywhere we can go in pursuit of the key. We've come to the end of the road. Still, I pray we'll step through the passage and be far away from this deadly group of what-ifs. Nicholas stops so quickly, I hear the soles of his boots squeal against the surface of the floor. I crash into his back, nudging him forward a few feet, but coming to a stop myself. Thrash Axeman has cut us off, appearing at the end of the corridor. The rest of the band approaches us from behind. We're cornered. I'm winded, panting. Thrash has complete control of his breath. He's a pro. He stares at us with perfect backlighting, his hair blowing in an invisible wind. He holds out his hand, and a roadie rushes over to give him a fresh Gibson guitar.
You should be kissing my feet for ending your pointless, pathetic existence. I'm going to put you out of your misery once and for all.